This should be a very good race. I'm super excited for this. Yeah, definitely no gripes with this game whatsoever. We definitely won't be seeing any rage from Patty, I hope.
No, definitely no hover ire from Patty. A skill that the TheOkayGuy indeed possesses.
Wouldn't that be something if that actually becomes a factor in this race?
It would be pretty interesting. There are some niche uses of the hovering technique.
So we're underway here, and we have the single arrow to start off the game. I'm really hoping that's just going to set the tone for this seed.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard opener going through the seed here.
It'd also be very interesting if that single arrow pickup is a determining factor in this seed.
I really wanted the silver arrow to be progressive for a long time. Like the two things I said is that I want Book to read the tablet, and I would like the single arrow to lead to progressive silver arrow. But I don't think the second one's going to get added. So it would definitely be a lot of fun. But yeah, Kanan Burn start. Definitely a trickier one to use at times.
Well, actually in that new retro mode, you could kind of consider it progressive. Almost. I guess they're separate items, the arrow and silver arrow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that in the randomized sword starter, you actually do find a lot of progression in the very beginning to get you through a scheme. So
yeah, definitely.
Even from the get-go, it can really skew the way you route everything.
Depending on what you get for your starting item, like it makes a huge difference in terms of opening up the seed earlier with progression. Like if you get the hammer or the bow, and then oftentimes you do get another early weapon. It kind of like jumpstarts the seed compared to the non-randomized swords, at least in my experience. But yeah, we unfortunately starting with the Cane of Burna from Uncle here. What are your thoughts on that as the starting weapon?
It's not too bad. It can be a really great safety. Of course, does damage and makes you invulnerable. So a lot of low uses there, and does play into logic a little bit too. So I think it's really a good one to start with. Sometimes you start with a bow and you're like, oh, okay, well, go to Eastern, and everything is really a little bit more linear to start at the very beginning. But kind of burning, you still don't really have a strong indication of where you should go just yet.
You see, that's exactly why I disagree. I think this might be my least favorite starting item for that exact reason. It doesn't really have any implications on your early routing. And I think it kind of it doesn't really make the escape sequence more interesting, like starting with the bomb or the Cane of Samaria or anything.
Yeah, and I think in terms of strategies, because it's a newer mode, a lot of people have not really developed, as many intricate or interesting setups compared to like bombs with Samaria block and the like. So, yeah, just kind of an awkward weapon to make use of as well.
Yeah, still a pretty standard escape sequence here. Both players are just going to be conserving their magic, because this game does chew through it pretty quickly, and you do have these required fights. At this point, they only really have this one little rat in the sewer with the small key that they have to worry about killing. But just activating that cane and waiting for it to go around and kill that rat's going to take up probably half of the remaining magic, so they can't really just use the cane to kill guards, hoping to find that bomb drop for the end of this escape sequence, unless they find a magic drop. So they're probably going to throw a couple pots in this guard hallway coming up here. Otherwise, they might just have to return later at sometime during the middle of the seed.
Yeah, if every dungeon has a boss, I think that little rat is probably the boss of this dungeon. It can get very annoying to try and hit, especially if it's smaller hitbox.
Yeah, it's got smaller hitbox, and it's definitely got some varied RNG. And depending on how it behaves, it could definitely be one of the biggest things to cost you some time in this escape sequence.
Yeah, there are a couple little RNG spots in Escape. They're pretty prevalent in a speedrun, but in Rando, the main ones to really watch out for are the second guard room, the green guard. He has 4 RNG patterns. And so that one's something people have to be aware of. And then, of course, the rat, and then a couple other ropes. Looking at Patty's spray, I just couldn't imagine that's his face the entire time he's playing.
And there's Patty using a little bit of that magic to take out a few of those snakes in that hallway. Again, just looking for that bomb drop. But getting low on magic, it's unlikely we're going to see those 3 chests at the end of Escape.
Yeah, it's always nice to get a passive farm on the way out of Escape. You usually don't have to go out of your way, but as soon as you start getting to the end and you don't have bombs, it's very easy to have a mini panic. And then it can be really simple to forget that you might have to come back later to get the bomb wall just because you've already gone through Escape. It might be removed from your mind.
Did get a clutch fairy drop from this rat. I'm sure that's going to be important later. So we're coming into the end of the Escape sequence here. So kind of in contrast to the open tournament from last fall, there tends to be less variety in the starting sequence for standard mode here. Most players are going to opt to head straight to Kakariko.
Yeah, typically a lot of people will go to Kakariko, but if you don't have the bottle or money, sometimes people will put it off for later. And that way you can try and find a bottle or the like later and then go to Kakariko. And of course, your starting weapon really factors into it too in any other items. So not having a sword, just having the cane, which requires a lot of magic, probably going to see more of a Kakariko type route.
Oh man, unfortunately, Patty picking up a small magic pickup there and getting some more. It's unfortunate because he was laying down a sick beat for us. And now he can no longer do that because he's got too much magic.
Oh, bomb upgrade at the Lumberjack Cave. So probably not going to see Aghanim unless, of course, it's required to enter Dark World or to move around.
Wow, and we got the flute on the racing game. So it was actually a little convenient that TheOkayGuy decided to hammer in the forest. So
Yeah.
we got some nice prizes on both ends of Kakariko.
Yeah, TheOkayGuy is going to have the benefit here from his route option, just because he can activate it while he goes through the town. Patty, unfortunately, will have to double back to activate the flute, but thankfully, it's not like it's really far removed from him. He will have it soon enough, so only be a minor time loss.
Yeah, it's a minor inconvenience, and just happened to get unlucky. Nothing he could really do there.
But yeah, lots of medallions so far. Medallion and hammer.
Yeah, so we are only 2 items shy from that Dark World access then. Wow! Patty's stealing himself a new pair of shoes from behind the bar there.
Yeah.
I have to alert the Kakariko authorities. Someone needs to arrest this man. And give him a speeding ticket.
It just makes it even better, that spray, running so fast. But yeah, TheOkayGuy not having money to buy bombs or just straight up not opting to. Instead opens up the bomb pit there to farm some bombs for free. Takes a little bit of time, but saves you the money. Oh, and finding book and boots.
We're I don't know. I don't know where the seed's trying to tell people to go. I think this might be an Eastern play.
Yeah, go read Sahasrara bedtime story. And very quickly, get there quick.
But yeah, with the early boots and book combo, definitely be keeping my eye on heading to Desert Palace pretty early. And there's
there's
a
the glove
glove.
too. 5/5 Sahasrara. Yeah, so actually, Patty, tried to do a hammer dash there. He was in the middle of the pots, so it wouldn't have worked. And then, of course, not having the sword makes it not work either.
It's a weird little quirk of this game, yeah, that you have to have the sword for the hammer dash to actually work. Otherwise, you just bonk off of things that you'd normally hammer down as you dash through them, like pots or pegs.
Yeah, this is a demo though to show you, it wouldn't work both ways. So good on Patty for doing that.
Yeah, he wants to. I know he just wants to show everybody little quirks that are all throughout this well-programmed Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, a teacher, a gentleman, and a scholar.
Yeah, we're kind of clearing out the rest of Kakariko here, and our inventories are already filling up pretty quickly here for the runners. In my little experience so far, it's not backed up by any statistical analysis yet or anything, but this newer version of logic does seem to be a little bit more front-loaded compared to the past few iterations.
Yeah, the ALTTTPR currently contemplating life in front of the bird statue. While Patty scrabbles to go do the race scheme here. They still need a lantern to complete all of Desert, but again, having the glove, the boots, and in the book, they can do everything in Desert except for the boss. But there might be a chance that a lantern is in fact in Desert too.
And then paired with this flute, they'll have very quick access around the overworld.
Oh wow,
so they're gonna be able
that was a nice bomb gap, sorry.
Sorry.
It's a lot of the rocks are 50-50 bomb grabs, so the ALTTTPR is showcasing a bomb spot. So if you are missing a bomb, pay close attention to that. Also, it should be noted that these players have good execution. I know the TheOkayGuy plays a lot of, or did play a lot of energy for a while, and of course, as mentioned earlier, he can do the hover technique. So you'll often, when you watch him, he has some really fun things that he likes to do, being a strong executional player.
Yeah, he's definitely strong execution and very knowledgeable about this game. As you pointed out, kind of checking those 50-50 bomb drop locations.
Yeah, don't let the name fool you. He's a little bit more than okay.
It's how he lulls you into a false sense of security. This was all just a long con on his part to trick Patty into thinking that, like, he's not very good at the game. Patty having a little bit of trouble with this block puzzle at the dam there. Here he goes again. Let's see. There you go. You got to push that middle block to the right or left after pushing the other two blocks up. Unfortunately, if you push that middle block up, you can no longer get the chest, as Patty has just learned.
So interesting route divergence. ALTTTPR now going to the Bonkrocks area. Gets a bloomerang. It's a useful item. Not only does it have a lot of little different uses, a lot of surprising ones that a lot of people might not think of, but something to consider is that it will also add an item to your menu, and it can make menuing easier.
It's definitely an underrated item. It does have some advantages and some small room strats. As you mentioned, it can make menuing easier. And potentially when you find it this early in the seed, it can help, you can check that stun drop, and that could be something useful.
Yeah, and even the red boomerang that a lot of people give a bad rap, it does have its own niche use too. There are some things you can only do with the red boomerang, but you just don't see them as often. More so little frame savers.
Patty just stumbled upon some golden gloves found in the Titan's mitts. This mini molearm cave.
Yeah, it's very handy. Now we just need a pearl.
Handy. That's a good one,
I didn't
Dory.
even mean to do that. I've done that a few times recently, but yeah. The OK guy threw the bomb in a very good position. You want to actually not throw a bomb square to entranceway. Oh, he was trying to cover there. So hopefully Pi doesn't rewatch the VOD. But he threw the bomb off to the side so you could actually get an entrance quicker. Again, another little frame saves.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty if you've done that room enough with bombs, which if you've done quite a bit of open mode, you probably have, and you get pretty consistent with it. It's nice to just be able to throw a bomb left and right, and then wait at the door by the top there.
Yeah, because something to consider is that when you're checking a location, it's actually time neutral for the most part. Both racers are going to check a lot of these locations. So what matters is the execution and the little movements between going through the areas. So little frame savers like that are a small way to get an edge over your opponent, because you think both are probably going to check Ice Dog, both are going to go to Desert. Those locations are going to take the same amount of time. It's time neutral, but it's how you got to those locations, how you strung everything together, and then how you played in that location. That will determine some time.
Yeah, 100%. Especially these early locations, like you mentioned. Pretty much everyone's going to check, so just being able to do that faster, more efficiently, can give you an early lead on your opponent. And those seconds start adding up real quick.
Yeah,
I would say now we're seeing a little bit of divergence with Patty making the early dip into Desert. But definitely that early game, I think, OkayGuy definitely edged out Patty a little bit, just by happenstance that choosing to start from Link's house and starting from the south, getting that flute first, being able to check that Bonk Rock location that Patty wasn't able to unless he backtracked even more.
Yeah, a little tip. Patty was waiting for that sandpit monster, but that little I don't know what you call it, that little bit of the ledge, that wall, you can actually, having the boots, you can actually bonk across it and completely clear the pit. Alternatively, you can walk through the pit by mashing left and right. But mashing left and right, you're probably going to take a hit of damage, and it's a little bit slower. But the boots, you can bonk that wall and clear the pit before the monster goes away. Save just a little bit of time. Yeah, that lower right wall right there. Or wall.
I actually never knew that.
Yeah, it's on the other side, but yeah.
So it looks like inside Desert, Patty just found himself a pile of 300 rupees and a big 20. So Desert just holding money. He is going to be able to grab this ledge item out here, which I didn't see what it was on his way in. Oh, it was a sword.
Oh, that's convenient. You can hammer dash through pots now. And also use medallions. Very good thing to have. But yeah, the OK guy going to the mountain, probably hoping that, you know, just clear an extra location before you go to Desert, potentially. You know, just in case you find the lantern and then you can complete it should you choose to. It is a crystal, so it would be nice to clear in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and with that early flute, at least that cave up there on top of Death Mountain was in the logic. So it makes sense to make a quick piss up over there, take the old man home, since navigating that dark room isn't too difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Just some piece of heart and blueberries, some bombs in Sasha's little room here. A lot of times people will get really antsy to skip locations or, you know, put some locations off. But even if you're not necessarily getting direct progression, those little things, the arrows, the upgrades, the bombs, the money, they all add to different progression. They let you progress through the game, generally speaking. So even if you're checking a lot of these, you know, little one-offs, even like Ice Dog Cave or Agina, you're still building towards the end of the race. You're still building up your own race. Safeties, sword, bottle. All those things definitely very useful, even if if they're not direct progression on their own. Oh yeah, see, the okay guy knew it, so he bonked there. Very good of him to be aware.
Yeah, how nice of him. He must have known that we needed someone to show that off. It was a very nice demonstration of kind of like a lesser-known tactic.
Yeah, both these individuals showing off very good things in their own right.
So we do have Patty over in Eastern now. We should be potentially seeing something important here.
Yeah.
This,
okay, guys, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say this light world areas are dwindling pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. We've already seen what's in desert, thanks to Patty here, but okay, guy getting a very nice key dash there on that desert tour. You don't see that very often.
However, there is that consideration that the 3 chests at the end of Escape are unchecked, since neither player was able to pick up a bomb, meaning they'll have to return back there.
It's very true. I forgot about it.
It's one of those things that you kind of take for granted, like you most often will find a bomb to be able to check it. But occasionally, especially now when you can start with this Can of Burnout, which kind of makes the bomb farming probably the hardest of any of the starting items. It's a little more likely to happen. It can definitely be easy to kind of just forget since you're so used to just getting it every time.
Yeah, for sure. So Patty doing a seasons break here. A lot more minor. It's a very common one to see in Eastern Palace. He gets the other boomerang for his effort, so for most people I think that probably wasn't worth it, but you can never know until you do it. You definitely don't want to gamble that chest if you're already in the dungeon.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Patty back over in Sanctuary now. And like he's a little indecisive there, because he does have the Bonk Rocks to the left. He's got King's Tomb to the right, and then a little graveyard to the back of Escape in the middle there. Looks like okay, guys, hot on his heels.
Yeah, it's definitely good that they both thought of this and remembered too, making very good use of the boots to get in.
Yeah, especially considering this is probably the tightest pack of items available right now.
Yep, there's 3 down below, and then of course the 2 on either side here. Hopefully they don't forget that. Probably just checking these real quick, but yeah, it looks like the okay guys is gonna go straight in.
Looks like Patty might be spacing out on that. Again,
yeah, hopefully.
He does have a few locations left, and there's that hook shot and the cane.
Oh no!
Hiding here the whole time.
That Patty isn't going to leave it for too long, but the mountain is looking very good now. Especially with Titans, if you find the Pearl, you can go. You could just about walk right into Turok.
Again, we touched on it, but it is very easy to kind of space out on those 3 items. Especially in the standard mode, you do the Force Escape. You kind of get that out of the way, and it's out of your mind. Like it's really, at least for me personally, it's one of the last things I remember if I didn't do it. Just because there is that expectation that you do it pretty much every time.
Yeah, and don't worry about Patty. I'm sure like he'll know or he'll remember, and even then, you know, hookshot might lead to a lot of strong progression, so he might get locked sooner than later. So it's kind of good that such, you know, if there's something on this mountain, it'll be good for him in the event he did forget. And
Patty turned in the mushroom, which we haven't seen yet, and then showing off his own magic to the witch immediately afterwards. So turning in that mushroom moved the item to the next item in his inventory, which happened to be Bombos.
Yeah,
or maybe he just doesn't like the witch, I don't know.
Yeah,
but we did find the Moon Pearl on the okay guy's side.
Yeah, so this is good. So if there is no mirror, then Patty will get locked sooner than later. And if he did forget, that'll be it'll bode well for him to kind of push him to remember.
Yeah. Again, it's a little unfortunate, but he should be heading there sooner or later, just because, as you mentioned, he doesn't have many options at this point.
Patty is just having a day right now. Oh my goodness.
He's just probably seething with anger. I hate those dead. Like, I'm mad just watching that.
His burst
Death
of
Mountain
fire.
is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just a blight of RNG on this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say something I just completely forgot. I'm really enjoying watching both of these racers do very different things, so it's a great watch.
So we got the TheOkayGuy. Did find a bottle in East Death Mountain. He's gonna check this tablet real quick. He won't be able to get it, but he does have the knowledge that it is just some rupees. So that won't be weighing on his mind. He won't have to waste his time coming back here to check that later. Patty is farming money for Zora. Again, this is unfortunate. This is not something you want to see. Because Zora is technically in the logic with those gloves in his inventory.
Yeah, and again, you go through standard, you kind of write off that entire section in your mind, so it's very understandable if you do happen to forget. But yeah, Zora is in logic, so you'll at least get an item here. But again, he's going to get pushed very quickly into making a quick decision.
Yeah, it's clearly just something that slipped his mind, and he is just kind of checking everything you can think of at this point. Unfortunately, each location that is still in the logic that is available to him is just kind of pushing him further away from where he needs to go.
Yeah, and this thing happened early, so he should figure it out pretty soon. Yeah, and of course Kenny, or the TheOkayGuy, just making his way through here. Don't think we're seeing anything too major just yet.
I don't believe so, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's not much here besides that crystal he's looking for. So he does have that Moon Pearl now. He's got full access to the Dark World. I'll probably finish up Hera here and then head on over to clear out the Dark World Death Mountain. And then he's got plenty of options available to him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't save and quit to Sanctuary, so still not on his mind. I guess he's come back to go farm more money at the moment? Oh, no, it's like Akina.
Yeah, I was wondering, I didn't see him do this earlier, so I wasn't sure if I just missed it, or he just opted not to do it.
Yeah, Agana's a really weird location to try and route in. It's similar to Catfish and even Spike Cave in a way, where there are small ways you can route it in better, but there's no real good way to do it. So you can either get out of the way or you leave it for a long time.
Oh no, poor Patty. I feel so bad, but also that Cactar's face.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like it perfectly embodies how he's feeling right now.
Yeah. And again, it's really good, the progression is locking him, because it'll force him to come up with something really quick. But unfortunately, I hope it's not rechecking Desert and a bunch of other dungeons, thinking maybe he just derped.
So yeah, that Cactar's just like, oh my god, what am I doing? Where do I go?
Yeah, and the arms, like, oh, it's so good.
There's some flippers for Kenny in the Spiral Cave. Yeah, oh man. That hook shot and escape is just leading to so many things. We got the Moon Pearl, we got a bottle, we got flippers. We still have the Dark World Death Mountain here to check.
Yeah, again, it's really good that he got progression locked. I mean, in case anyone wasn't there, when the races went through escape, they did not get bombs, so they had to go back to check the bomb area with the 3 chests, and it happened to have the hookshot and Samaria. Thankfully, I had the hookshot, which led to the pearl and other things, because if it only had Samaria, he might have gone the entire game not knowing where to go, and then he has the entire game to try and figure out where the kin of Samaria is.
Yeah, it's just... I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's so easy to... Like, you just kind of, like... After doing escape so many times and generally getting bombs, like, 90+% of the time, it's just so easy to immediately write off that location in your mind. Which I know has been mentioned in commentary time and time again. But that's one of the worst things you can do in Randomizer, is kind of assume or write off a location in your mind that actually isn't done or completed yet. Oh!
That's really not good. Yeah, I was gonna say when you, I was gonna say that we have to really hope that Hobro actually doesn't have progression this time, just so that it forces him to remember even more. But getting hit there in the fake flipper state is a forced save and quit, pretty much.
But yeah, it's
Or,
unfortunate.
game
He's
over.
kind of just grasping for anything you could do right now. Because he knows fake flippers isn't actually the answer. He's just hoping that maybe he could circumvent whatever he needs to actually do. But fake flippers obviously not in the logic. So he knows he's got to be missing something.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate because it's not only the fact that you don't remember, it plays into your mentality. So you're thinking, oh my goodness, time loss, and then my opponent must be ahead. And then when you think your opponent is ahead, it might lead you to make a quote-unquote crazy or unorthodox decision.
Okay, does look like he's heading towards escape. He's coming from the front, so...
Well, he can't fight Ganon, so I don't know. No, that does not work.
That only works in swordless, Patty.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's worth trying if you got nothing better to do, of course. But oh man, this is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of one of those things that gets exasperated in a 1v1 tournament racing format too. So as you mentioned just a moment ago, you can start to feel like you're behind, like you know you're missing something, especially this early on in the game. Like you can only assume your opponent found it. You start panicking, and you're just looking for everywhere to go, anywhere that you can, even.
Yeah.
And the nerves start to set in, and it can be hard to remember.
Yeah, we do see that screw attack is required to get into Mire. It's been very easy to neglect the okay guy just a little bit because you feel so bad for Patty, right? And you're on your edge hoping that he remembers and checks the location. But okay guy making good progress on his own right. Again, finding that ether is required to get into Mire. But nothing really found in the Mire area itself. And to answer chat, Patty is missing Hookshot and by extension King of Samaria, which is in the back of Escape, behind the bomb wall. The Hookshot directly blocks progress, which is good for him to force him to remember right now, because if it's only Samaria, you'd have gone much more of the game, checking a lot more locations, only to still not remember. So it's kind of good that he's having this frustration early, but you just don't want this frustration at all.
Yeah.
We'll actually get to see what Hobro is having today on the OkayGuy side. And maybe Patty remembered, he's heading the right direction, so give him your energy, chat, and definitely show him your love. This is a terrible feeling to go through.
Yeah, he's staring at that map screen for like a minute, just racking his brain, trying to think, trying to remember.
Yeah.
It's looking like he's heading there. Come on.
PogChamp? PogChamp question mark?
Just unpause the game and go up. Push that grave so you know you want to rob that grave. Come on, Patty.
This is one of those moments where you're watching a friend play a game and then you just want to grab their controller and do a thing. Just like, Patty, go! You're so close!
Yeah, really, please, just do this.
Go up! No! Yes!
Yep.
Yeah! PogChat, let's go. Okay. Savaged, first try. So this is really good for him. Forced him to remember again. Can't Samara and hookshot. He'll kind of hit himself a little bit, but he's back on track.
Yeah.
Just gotta put out of your mind. You never know. Maybe there's a pen and dungeon or something that your opponent went into that you never touched and you save all that time. Cannot let it get to you. Very unfortunate thing. But
Bashing that Cactuar's head against the wall over and over again. And there's that face. Stop.
yeah, there's
Stop staring at me, Cactuar.
the sprite choice is prophetic. It's just lovely. But okay, on the right track. High five, synced. They're basically equal. So Patty's now gonna check the rest of the mountain here. This newfound hookshot and find a ton of worth, and just continue on.
Yeah, and okay, guy. Kind of clearing out most of the rest of the light world that's available to him. Just a few on-off locations that might come into play later, like mirror locations. Magic bat, although we might be seeing that right now. He might be doing a fake powder. Or he's gonna just head into the dark world where he's got literally everything open to him. Just about. But thankfully, Patty's back on track. He's over on East Death Mountain, where he's gonna find a bunch of stuff. He grab that moon pearl. He's gonna find himself a bottle. Later, if he checks Spiral Cave, he'll find flippers. He'll be able to clear out Hera. Get some knowledge on that Turtle Rock medallion. He is definitely has kind of a substantial gap between him and Kenny to make up. But it's not insurmountable, it's still randomizer. Anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like the okay guy is dipping into Scoins here. Definitely a good check. Has 2 items you can find, and the way the dungeon is laid out, you're not really investing a lot of time. It's not very time loaded, front or back loaded. So you can kind of dip in, and it's actually somewhat convenient to go here, check items real quick, and then go down over to Bumper or even Mirror Ledge, and then work your way back down into the town. So some people even just go into the beginning of it on their way to Bumper. But let's say he is going to check as much as he can of Skullwoods here.
And he does have that Cane of Samaria, making good use of that to make that statue push room a lot quicker.
And getting the big keys, so he'll be able to head his way back and either hover or bomb jump across to the big chest.
I mean, he could also just fall down the hole and walk there vanilla. You don't know.
Nah.
He can do what he wants.
Nah. He's pulling out the bomb.
Oh, going for the
that was
slag
really
bomb
close.
jump, too. He's down to half heart. He's just gonna have to.
It's like screw
Oh,
this
he's
nerd
hovering,
jump.
but the
I'm just
Moldorms
gonna
are
hover.
goalie. Moldorm's goaltending. So what was he trying to do there with the bomb? Normally everybody just bonks on that wall.
Yeah, it looked like he was setting it up to bonk against the wall. So in case people aren't familiar, there is a 2 pixel tolerance. Yeah, he went for the bonk. Oh my god, this is just not having any luck with this. But normally there's a 2 pixel tolerance. You have to be within 2 pixels of the hole in order to bomb jump across. If you bonk against the wall, it actually increases that window to 6 pixels. So that is the traditional quote-unquote safe method of bomb jumping, bonking against the wall.
Unfortunately, his reward for all of that work was just a small key.
A little bit of a showmanship towards the chest after. And Patty fighting everyone's probably not favorite boss of the game.
Yeah, Moldorm. Just, I have many words I could use to describe this guy. None of which I'm gonna say on air. But Patty's coming back for round 2. And gets him pretty well there.
I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to save a truce on stream, but okay.
Sure.
Color of green. Sorry.
Three quick hammer bashes. That tail will take out the mold arm there. Patty's got his first crystal. Catching up a little bit on the OK guy there with the bomb jumping big chest fiasco of Skullwoods.
Yeah, the important thing is just put it out of your mind and keep going forward, because you never know what happens. You can never know what will happen to your opponent. For all Patty can know, Kenny could have run into his own issues. And Kenny is the OK guy, in case people are wondering.
Yeah, that could definitely be...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, if you're friends with people in the community, it's common to maybe refer to someone by a different name, but no, just these two are very endearing to people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add that you can definitely be kind of your own worst enemy in these randomizers sometimes. Especially not having that knowledge of like where your opponent is or what they're doing, like you might in a race of most other games. It's a lot easier for those nerves to play a bigger part. So yeah, as you mentioned, best you can do, just kind of put it out of your mind, try to press forward, and because you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very easy for your opponent to get stuck on something.
Yeah, oftentimes people kind of metagame themselves. And so very, very common to do. You know, doing these races can be very stressful. Yeah, just the thing that you kind of have to keep in mind. You know, stay calm, push forward. Get your mass sword. Go through Thieves Town.
The Master Sword is definitely a nice pickup. Not going to play too much of a part in Thieves Town here, but it'll definitely help with some later dungeons. But we're still obviously hoping for at least one more sword upgrade before the end of this game.
Yeah, and that was a good technique by Patty there with the hook shot. When you push a stone or a block, it kind of the game treats it like it doesn't exist, basically. And so you're able to actually hook shot through it if you set it up correctly. So it's very good of him to make use of that. And, you know, if you had the mirror, you could actually erase the block. But by doing the hookshot technique, you're also set for hookshot cave too.
Yeah, it's definitely a useful little glitch that comes into play in a couple spots. It's useful to get to the big chest in Ice Palace. It can be useful in that little hallway there. And it's actually one of the trickier instances of that trick, if you will. Tricky trick.
Yeah.
Because you have to push that left block forward and then push the right block forward, but you have to be far enough over to the right but not too far. Like, you just kind of have to be like vertically lined in the right spot to clip through it. It's not a huge loss if you miss it, because you can just go up and drop down, but it always feels good when you pull it off.
Yeah, for sure. Patty actually bonking against the pot there to get to the chest. It's good you showed that, because for anyone that doesn't know, you can actually do that to get to the first chest if you do not have the hook shot. The hook shot can in fact be in that first chest too. And the reason why it's part of the logic is because in Ganon Tower, there is a room that you can get to that was developer intended to get there by bonking. So it being a feature within the game, the logic was written with that in mind.
Alright, so we got ALTTTPR escorting this beautiful maiden out of this dark, dank dungeon. Meanwhile, Patty is heading into the Dark World via the warp south of Link's house. This could actually be a very good thing for Patty, because the ALTTTPR's wasted a little bit of time over in Skullwoods. He's then heading through Thieves Town, where he did find a sword upgrade, which is useful, but it's not really going to point him anywhere in particular right now. So Patty kind of treading new ground that his opponent hasn't. This could be making up for the issues he had earlier on in the seed, if Patty finds something nice here.
Yeah, and in terms of items, they're actually still fairly comparable to one another. You know, it's not like one has boots and the other doesn't or anything. They're still really similar. kind of making their way.
Yeah, honestly, Patty is not really missing anything major that Kenny has. There's just kind of that sword upgrade, which isn't important for progression. And at least not right now. It could be, if Bombus comes into play, it could be an issue later or something. But so far, the OK guy did spend a decent chunk of time in Skullwoods for nothing. He does have one dungeon ahead, but the gap has actually been closing.
Yeah, and right here, they're actually both doing the shovel game at the same time. 7 digs for a heart container.
Gotta love that sync. And Kenny is like, nope, I don't even want it.
I mean, if you look on the stream, he's behind, so you need to say the phrase. Catch up to Patty.
It's just, I think, an indicator of his confidence there. 10 hearts is also a good amount, especially coupled with that blue mail. Although, I don't know, personally, if it's a full heart container, I usually won't pass it up. Just because
That's not too bad. Because they don't have half magic yet, Spike Cave is in the logic with their safety item and their hammer. So that extra heart container might save you a little bit of magic, or even another resource. So sometimes grabbing the safety, even if just that alone in mind, can be good.
Patty got the cops called on him. Finally, like 40 minutes later, after I mentioned it earlier, needed to happen. Finally happened. I feel vindicated.
Yeah. Whoop whoop. Sound of the police.
God, please. Patty getting a big 20 for taking that sweet Frogsmith home. Now we have Kenny kind of clearing out the South Dark World that we just saw from Patty.
Yeah, Papa Snoopy here, going on a little bit of a tour.
But he's gonna opt to kind of go all the way around the world here. He's gonna check out this pyramid item. Probably pop up to Catfish, and we'll see a save and quit for him to take that blacksmith home. You see Patty returning back to kind of the blacksmith area, checking out this hammer peg cave, possibly grabbing the purple chest. These are a couple things that players tend to put off if they don't have the mirror because they're a bit slower. But I actually really like this if he grabs the purple chest right now. Kind of having that little mentality of like, I need to make up some lost ground. Or he's just completely ignoring me. He's gonna go probably into Thieves Sound, which is a safer bet.
Yeah, I mean, for him, he's still got a lot to do, and the purple chest is a little bit out of the way. But given from what we've seen so far, there's a good chance that the purple chest may actually have an item that we're looking for. Still a few more locations to check, but you know, as you find more locations that don't have what you want, it just becomes more likely. And of course, we do have everything, I think, to go into and be ice pallets, so that might be in the future too.
Yeah, let's see, we have the Ice Palace on the table. That's probably a pretty safe bet to head there soon, actually. We do have access to Mire, however, without a fire source, there's 2 chests on the left side that could be blocked off, which could also block off the big chest and Vitreous, so that's kind of probably a no-go.
Yeah. I have to wonder if that Samaria will come into play. They can also, well, they still need Quake, but you know, Turok being a pendant means you don't actually need the rods to beat it. You'd want the fire rods still to get those 2 extra items inside Turok, but there might be something in there waiting for them.
Yeah, actually, with Skullwoods and Turtle both being pendants, we could see a Rodless Seed, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
but if the players do pick up that lamp, they won't necessarily need it.
Yeah, so Patty getting his freezy sword right there.
Yeah, meanwhile, ALTTPR is doing the hammer peg cave. He might grab that purple chest. I was just talking about a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, it definitely makes more sense for him to grab it while he's here than it did for Patty at the time. Yeah, those hammer pegs are definitely, I think, a very fun thing for a lot of people to try and hit down with iron dashing. Iron dashing itself is pretty fun. And yeah, you are correct. He does grab the purple chest, which does make sense.
Yeah, you can swoop down, turn that in, and then mosey on over to Ice Palace, potentially.
That's how I room. It can be really annoying. A trick a lot of people use is they'll do something where they try and line up on the very center of the entire room on the conveyor. When you dash, you move 4 pixels a frame. The entire game is based on a grid system, and so when Link is moving normally in a cardinal direction, he tends to move about 1.5 pixels a frame. And then when you move diagonal, you're doing 1 pixel in either direction. And hey, look! Fire rod!
Well, not gonna be fire rodless.
Nope, feels bad. Yeah, the entire game is based on a grid. So when you're moving diagonally, you're moving 1 pixel in either direction. When you're dashing, you're moving 4 pixels a frame. And when you're hookshotting, you're moving 2 pixels a frame when hookshotting. So in just movement techniques, you actually want to maximize the amount of time you're dashing. So you tend to move more cardinally when you're setting up for dash movement. But with a hookshot, that doesn't really matter. So you pair it the same as normal walking, using more diagonals and whatnot.
Yeah, there goes a lot that goes into just maximizing your movement around this game.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little nuance that when you first look at the game, you might not really be aware of that. Little things like there are some doors where you actually don't want to hold diagonal going into or coming out of them because it'll kind of lag you a little bit. A very common one that most people know of, stair lag. You want to hold left or right when coming out of a stair that transitions you from a screen. Just because you lose like 13 or 17, I forget how many, but you lose some frames if you just hold a straight direction coming out. Like the stairwell that Patty's going into, you'd want to hold either left or right coming out of it to avoid that kind of delay.
So, the ALTTPR, having picked up that fire rod, no longer has to worry about any of Meyer being locked off, so he's going to pop into here. Yeah, I like this play.
Oh, that is very good. This room is typically called Meyer 2. It's a little bit tricky because the wizards are on their cycle, and that was very well executed by him. He got, I believe, just the one cycle there.
We got something crazy going on over on Patty's screen.
Bit of a rainbow bleh on the stream.
Is his cart got some water on it, or what's going on here, Dory?
I think you can hit select during... I think if you hit select on the same frame that the text box shows up, it'll discolor the room. And the door actually doesn't lock at the bottom. Do not go through that door. Bad things will happen.
Yeah. It's definitely a fun little glitch that you can do. As long as, yeah, you don't try to go through that door, it doesn't really affect anything other than making the graphics all psychedelic and weird.
Yeah, it loses a little bit of time, but for the fun that you get out of it, it might be it might be more of an investment to some people. You definitely have to have fun with your game. There's always a way that you could probably do something better or more optimally, but doing the strat that you enjoy and you have fun with is always the best thing to do. Just because if you do something you're not used to, you might screw it up, or you're more prone to, rather.
Are you telling me this video game's supposed to be about fun? Have I been doing this wrong the whole time? I thought this was for serious races. Oh! Well, that's a serious item.
It's okay, we're only in tournament. Don't worry, have fun.
You okay, guy? Yeah, this is just for fun, so... I mean, unless you're really... If you're in this tournament, you're really, really attached to getting your name in the game.
Yeah.
I guess you can take it super seriously, but just try to have fun. But yeah, we did find the mirror in Meyer. And the lamp.
Mirror and lamp, two really good items to have. The lamp required in terms of progression for dark rooms, but a lot of players can get through without the lantern in terms of dark rooms. Having the fire rod means they already have a fire source, but the lantern, always a nice thing to have, because again, people can do dark rooms, but not necessarily the funnest thing to do, and they can be slower depending on how you have to navigate through them too.
Yeah, and generally a lot of the more experienced players, such as Kenny Petty here, have good enough knowledge to be able to get through these dark rooms without the aid of the lamp. And it's never required, but it is pretty useful knowledge to have. Because you never know when that lamp might show up. It could be somewhere hidden deep in Mire or Ice Palace. It's just not something you necessarily want to have to depend on.
Yeah, definitely. The really important item, though, the mirror, that is a very, very important item in Rando. It opens up swamp in a bunch of low locations, but in terms of routing, it can really save you a ton of time when you're able to pair things together. A common thing to do is to pair like desert and mire together, or eastern pod. But even just the way you move through the overworld, the mirror can have a huge impact on what you do. You could leave all of South Shore and Mini Moldering Cave in order to check it while you check High Cave and Dark World, for example. Sometimes gambling the mirror and skipping locations can pay off, and then sometimes you just get it really late, like they did in this seed.
You know, really laggy Vitreous fight.
Yeah, the Keen of Burna, the way health and magic works is you see how there's the graphic, like the green for the magic and the heart containers, but there's actually a number point system for the entire game. So when you use the Keen of Burna, it uses 16 magic upon activation and then 1 magic per tick, or I think it's like 1 magic per second. If you use the cape, you actually do 4 magic per second, but there's no activation. So for a long fight or duration of use, you want to use the Keen of Burna, but the Keen of Burna does add lag to the game. So it's really interesting that the two mechanics, or the two items that have very similar uses for each of them, have very different applications.
Yeah, typically in this Vitreous fight here, you'd probably want the cape over the cane if you had it, just because with all the eyeballs, all the sprites on the screen, in addition to that cane graphic, it really starts to lag the game pretty noticeably. But without the cape and only really the Master Sword for any real damage to Vitreous, it makes sense to use that cane. Even if the lag, it's probably going to make that fight significantly easier and a bit faster compared to not using it.
Yeah, it's all about kind of picking your battles. If you do happen to have both, you know, one might be cheaper, but the other one might not lag, and you know, however else it may work out. Having half magic helps to negate that in general, but something to keep in mind.
And then I did want to mention that in terms of items, Kenny, or the okay guy over on the left there, only needs the bow to be able to finish up this game.
Yeah, unfortunately there's still a lot of places it could be, which makes for great viewing, but not a great feeling when you're scrambling for that one last item, which is very typical in Randomizer.
Yeah, he's got just about everything open to him at this point, so it could be almost anywhere. He thankfully doesn't have that Quake medallion, so Turtle Rock isn't on the table. Eastern is pretty much cleared out as well. But just about everywhere else that he hasn't been is on the table for that bow.
Yeah,
besides, obviously, the few locations in Pod. Or potentially all of Pod, depending on whether that first chest is a small key or not.
Yeah, they may have to start making more difficult decisions here. Again, okay guy can go to Ice Palace to try and look for something. It looks like Patty might actually take the initiative and go there first here. Nope, not yet.
He's gonna head back up to Zora. He did make that early trip there when he was scrambling to look for the hook shot that he was missing to progress. and did buy that Zora item, but he didn't have access to these 2 chests.
No, that's very true. He already saw the legend Zora, so actually this is really good, a running decision from him. You go to the warp, which is really quick, and then just go straight to Ice Palace.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The one unfortunate thing is he hasn't done. Oh, then he died on the way to on the way to the hobo under the bridge here.
It's probably haunting him a little bit. I don't blame it at all. This is that revenge.
Yeah, that's one of those things about Randomizer. When you die on your way to a location, or right before making a check on something, it can kind of be like negging the back of your mind for a long time. Because what if that was the one thing you needed to really like bring everything together? What if this is the bow, or what if this is the mirror, or something for Patty? Like,
yeah.
It's just kind of like that what if in the back of his mind the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an item check, and it's closure. So clear from his mind, he can continue on without that bugging him. And he's warping back to 8, so it looks like he is going to go into Ice Palace still.
And there's the cape from the Bombos tablet for the okay guy.
Yeah, Mr. The Okay Guy got the Master Sword and Thieves and had the book, so may have been reading that, and progression could be on tablet.
Looks like the okay guy is opting to go into Swamp. It looks like, I was about to mention, he has his decision to make here between Ice House and Swamp. It looks like he was kind of a little split there, because he was heading to the right, and then doubled back, and it looks like he's going to go into Swamp. Meanwhile, Patty is going into Ice.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Yeah, this is kind of what you want to see as a commentator or a viewer, getting both sides.
Yeah, both these dungeons... Sorry. But both of these dungeons can be a bit longer, and for the okay guy, he is looking for the bow. So if he finds the bow in here, that means he can go mode Ice. But conversely, if Patty finds the bow here, he might have the potential to go mode Swamp later. So it'll kind of be interesting to see. Of course, Patty still has to go to Mire to get his mirror to even enter Swamp.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see as they make their way through these dungeons, which one of these pays off, if either one does. Because there are still some unchecked locations on the Overworld.
Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty inoffensive because they're crystal dungeons, so they do need to do it. And the okay guy doing a very nice pause buffer there to get the key in that room. The optimal strat is basically to walk up to the pot, hammer, and then begin your dash downward. You can try and dash to the key pot, but it's very risky, and the time save is frames at best. So if you've ever thought, should I hammer dash, or should I dash in that room, or hook shot, or whichever, no, just walk up, hammer the pot, and then begin dashing down. A quick rule of thumb is that if you're trying to move past a pot, you want to pick it up. If you're not going past the pot, you want to hammer it. Hammering will be a little bit quicker. That's only if you're not going through it. So for example, before cold stare, the pot that you have to, or no, not there, but I think you guys get it. I was thinking like peg for some reason instead of, or a pot instead of a peg. Oh,
and there's the bow.
That is huge. So Swamp was the right decision. You will get to go through Ice very quickly.
Yeah, and particularly Ice is much faster to be able to go mode, and he also has that Fire Rod, which is going to be saving a bit of time over Patty using Bombos. This is very unfortunate for Patty, because kind of his path through the seed is he needs to head over to Mire to get his mirror, and there's also the lamp there, which would give him his fire source that he needs.
Yeah, this is true. Just real quick for the okay guy, that room with the statue that you have to move to get onto the switch, a lot of people they'll push the statue up, and then they'll try and get the pot, and then not grab the pot. They'll kind of hug the statue a few times. You actually want to do a hook dash if you have the boots. You will always grab the pot if you do a hook dash. Just a little trick there. And then in that room, that next room with the jelly, again, if you have the boots, you can do a couple of things. You can dash forward, cancel your dash, and then begin your dash again to get through the electricity. Or you can swing your sword twice to frame kill, and you will be able to dash in through every time.
And we got Kenny's making really quick work of Argus here.
Yeah, one of the game's many eyeball bosses.
So they're everywhere in this game. A nice silver arrow.
Yeah, one of the few bosses that silver arrows work really well on, and makes good use of it.
Yeah, oftentimes you'll see people use kind of a fire rod and spin slash strat. Hey, there's a tempered sword. I didn't even notice. You'll see. I was just gonna say that only really works if you have the tempered sword. You'll see like a quick double fire rod and a spin slash from the tempered sword to kill Argus. You can do it with the master sword, but you're gonna have to chain a few more fire rod shots.
Yeah.
And if you have the silver arrows and you're confident in your timing, it just makes sense to use that instead.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes either 4 fire or ice rod shots if you don't use your sword at all. If you have master, it takes 3 shots with either. If you have temper, it only takes 2. But why do all that when you have silver arrows? You can just shoot them once.
We're seeing a bit of a high five here, both of them in the Ice Palace. Patty clearing out the last few locations here. He's going to be heading on his way onto the boss. Unfortunately, not going to get much for his trouble to help him out here. And we're going to see Kenny probably fly through this dungeon.
Yeah, Go Mode Ice Palace. It's very quick compared to non-Go Mode Ice Palace.
Yeah, and especially finding that tempered sword from Argus. Like, Swamp really paying off big for him there. He finds that bow. Particularly where he found it, just south of that big chest, meant he didn't even need to check left side. Like, he didn't need to check a lot of that dungeon anymore. He found it relatively early. Was able to rush to the boss and then get the tempered sword of all things from him. So there's really not much for him to be looking for in the seed anymore.
Yeah, it's very smart of him to go Swamp. Swamp has a lot more items on the way through the dungeon. So if you did find the bow, it would go a lot better than for Ice, because Ice you kind of have to, a lot of time it's front load like Swamp, but then you have to kind of move your way through the dungeon. It can be a little bit awkward. So in terms of efficiency, Swamp is definitely the right play. And of course, it happened to be the right play in this situation. And hey, cheating. Not actually though. Hovering, very difficult technique to pull off. Tried it there, just gonna sell for a strategy.
A strategy. Yeah, hovering here is a little bit faster than a quick bomb jump. But doesn't make that much of a difference here. And then Patty is going for the bomb jump as well. This is really just one of the most important tricks that you can learn in this game for Randomizer or just a vanilla game. Being able to get to Cold Stare without the big key. Being able to skip the vast majority of this dungeon if you don't need to do it.
Yeah, definitely. You don't need to do the bomb jump if you have a King of Samaria and you intend to full clear the dungeon, but otherwise it's a very good jump to have. It's probably the most iconic one in the game. It's both used in speedrun and random a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I personally do enjoy this dungeon. I think it has an interesting design, because the way you're intended to play it casually, you kind of do this loop around the dungeon twice, so you can get the big key, are able to lower those pegs, and then push the block down to hit the switch.
Yeah, it's very detailed.
But it's very slow, and so being able to do that bomb jump just bypasses that entire chunk of this dungeon and makes it one of the fastest dungeons in the game.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And OkayGuy making really quick work of Cold Stare there. Especially with that tempered sword makes a huge difference on this boss. So Patty sitting at 3.5 hearts with the Master Sword, he's going to be in for a fight here, so give him your energy because this is a bit scary. He does have that blue potion, so if he does take a hit, he can pop that and probably be okay.
Yeah, unfortunately doesn't have the Fire Rod. It would take 8 Fire Rod shots to melt the ice. And so in using bombos, it's kind of like using a Fire Rod shot. So he would have had magic for the Fire Rod, but in this case he was forced to use bombos.
Yeah, and using the Fire Rod against the eyes here is really helpful because it does Gold Sword damage.
It's 4 Fire Rod shots per puffball. So it definitely has a lot of use. And Patty...
Or Patty just getting bodied by these cotton balls. These guys do a ton of damage, even if the red mail. Like when you get here in the vanilla game, this is where the game decides, okay, we're upping the damage from enemies. We're gonna give you the blue mail to kind of counterbalance that a little bit. In green mail, those puffballs will do 4 hearts of damage. Reduced down to 2 in red mail, but it's really easy with all 3 of them bouncing around to just get chain hit for a ton of damage.
Yeah, Cold Stare are very punishing bots. Normally you get the blue mail in that dungeon, so the boss itself does 4 damage, whereas the little ice, falling ice does 2. And so, you know, they do have a mail, but it's still one of the highest damage sources in the game.
Oh, and we got a bug net for Kenny. Sorry, that was just exciting. I had to share.
That's okay, I feel the same way about bomb upgrades.
Wow, how dare you.
What? That's so rude.
Yeah, so we have TheOkayGuy in Palace of Darkness here. This dungeon can be a lot faster when you're in go mode, or it could be just about as slow as when you're full clearing it, depending on where that big key is.
Yeah, sometimes if you have the option to go into different dungeons, you want to sometimes pick a dungeon where you still need the big key, and the big key can be anywhere, because, you know, in one way you're hoping that the big key takes longer to find, so that you have a chance to find more items and make less difficult decisions. Because if you find it early, then you know your opponent could have potentially go-moded it really quickly.
And there is actually one of the more convenient big key locations in Pod if you happen to go to the right side early.
Oh, it's a nice throw.
But yeah, that's definitely kind of a factor in deciding which dungeons you're trying to prioritize. Is kind of the time difference between doing it full clear or doing it go mode, which I think is why there can be some reluctance for people to go to Ice Palace, for instance, which is very, very slow to full clear. If you can save it for the end game after you already have everything you know you need, it's a super quick dungeon, as was demonstrated firsthand in this race here.
Yeah. Definitely make sure you send Patty some love, because, oh my goodness, especially from the start and then just every little thing play, it's, again, one of the worst feelings you can have. So, you know, everyone kind of has those days where things just don't really click. And, you know, I guess today is, you know, one of those days for him, unfortunately. A great player, like absolutely a great player, but, you know, in tournament these things can happen.
Yeah, he's a great player, and yeah, it's just, as you mentioned, it's super easy. It's just that one little mistake, one little thing you forget, particularly early on, it can just affect your entire run. It's super hard to recover from, both from a racing standpoint and just like a mental standpoint. Patty's showing off an interesting quirk of the ice balls in the Cold Stare fight. If you're standing all the way up against this top wall here, they can't hit you, actually. They land a little bit too high and they don't explode.
This attempt going much better. He has to be so careful. The hammer does tempered sword damage, but the massive sword is much easier to use, the sword in general, and that was a very timely hit. So close. It's making very good use
I'm
of the
so
wall.
nervous. Okay, there we go. Oh my god.
PogChamp.
Yeah, that was a very nice, like, yeah, Hammer Cold Stare is actually, it does get a lot more manageable once you get down to that last cotton ball there. But Hammer Cold Stare in general is just a very scary, very tough fight. That the small hitbox of the hammer doesn't let you kind of corral them and hurt them a little bit like you can with the sword.
Yeah. And especially given the hitbox of the hammer, it's kind of disjointed a little bit, but it's especially when you hammer up, it's actually situated off to the side, not directly center in front of Link. The only time in the game where you really want to hammer up, if you can help it, is against Vitreous in the eyeballs. It tends to be much more consistent and stable there. But even like mini Moldarms, trying to hammer them in mini Moldarm Cave with a hammer, given the position, hammering upwards just feels close to impossible. It can be very risky, even in just that situation.
And yeah, just coupled with the how close you have to get, particularly as we mentioned, Cold Stare does a lot of damage. So it was a nice fight. Glad that Patty got his revenge. Looks like he's heading to Palace of Darkness now.
I was going to say, Mr. Swerve. Do you know what time it is?
Oh boy, I totally forgot. I didn't even realize he has all 7
Yeah.
crystals.
So 1 hour, 16 minutes entering GT. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And do you have any guess for where the big key might be?
22.
22. For those in chat, if you see people posting all these numbers, the big key in Ganon Tower can be in one of 22 locations. And so kind of a fun little game for people to try and guess which chest it's going to be in. So far, 2 are already down, but yeah, between 1 and 22 if you want to get your guess in. I think I'll go with 12.
I just always go with 22.
I used to always go with 22, but then other people always go with 22. I'm like, I want to be different. I'm going to change my answer. But,
Okay,
given how many people play, you can't really, every number's taken. I was just like,
I guess that's true. You're very different. I'm sure you're the only person that picked
yeah,
12.
absolutely.
Very, very unique. I don't know. I just want to see all of Ganon's Tower, and I want to see that lovely tile room.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes 22, sometimes not 22. 22 would be cool.
But I would like to mention that Kenny is making extremely good pace.
Yeah, it's definitely doing good.
What did you say
Kenny's
his
still making pace too.
entry time was? It was like a 1:14, 1:15?
For entering GT.
Yeah.
It was a 1:16.
Close enough. Okay, maybe I should have guessed low then, just for the sick time.
No backsies.
Oh, it's too late now. I mean, you gotta pick something and just go with it. He is making a very traditional route through Ganon's Tower.
Yeah,
I do imagine he knows that he's ahead. Just because of the amazing time, like the amazing pace that he's making. And also, Patty did mention in the race chat earlier when he was stuck that he was stuck, which is unfortunate. But he has made a nice recovery. But he is unfortunately also wasting his time in Palace of Darkness right now. This is one of those situations where you'd like to see the dungeon be bow locked.
Yeah, so far going through a lot of the dungeon, there's a few ways to go through Ganon's Tower. Ultimately, RNG will play the base role, but there are some things you can do to try and maximize your approach here. Generally, a lot of people will go to the right, check those quick too, and if they get a key, they might continue to go through, or they'll just go back to left and do full left. Conversely, you can either do full left, full right, or go to the left and then go to the right. In my experience, I think the optimal thing to do is probably go either left or right and then switch, because chances are a lot of people are going to check those initial early locations. So if you end up skipping them, then you can lose a lot of time. So, you know, if you go to the left, check those first five rather, and then go to the right, you kind of got those initial ones out of the way regardless of where you go.
Yeah, I like doing that one a lot, but I try to switch it up. Because there are some people in this community that fancy themselves some sort of a meta gaming strategist and will scout out their opponents. And so if you mix it up, people can't play around you.
This is very true. You're not always playing the siege, you're playing the player. It's you know, depending on the player, it will change a lot of decisions and things you do. Obviously, you're playing the siege and you're trying to go to the logic and routing, you know, the tune of the siege itself. But it's very important to be aware of what your opponent would do, because it can factor into your decisions and save you a lot of time.
We got Kenny already halfway through the gauntlet. He's making really quick work of those first two rooms. Getting beamed a little bit in this third room, but still pretty quick. Smooth fourth room, and the big key was in Bob's chest above Ice Armos there, which would put it at number 13, I believe, with the standard route that Kenny chose.
I think 15 or something. Oh no, I wasn't counting.
Because there's a 2 on the right, and the torch is 3, 4 is 7, 1 is 8, 12. I'm going to 13.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of vanilla. Yeah, Patty making his way through my hair now. Just, you know, again, a little unfortunate with how things went, but in a different seed, in a different time, you never know, right? Yeah, especially going up the tower here, this is where execution and even just doing the vanilla speedrun can really help pay off. It is really cool how both Rando and the speedrun kind of benefit each other in different ways. So learning both can, you know, be very beneficial to your game. I mean, obviously you play the game, Rando, but the speedrun can be really good. And oh no, TheOkayGuy making very good use of the knowledge that you can actually just barely get to the edge and like that one torch. Yeah, it's TheOkayGuy playing a Molder and 2 here. You can slash it once and then do a charge spin in order to defeat Molder with temper without ever entering the enraged phase.
Yeah, whenever you have access to anything really other than Fighter's Sword to damage Moldorm, you want to try your best to pace out your damage to avoid that enraged form.
Yeah.
It just can be really annoying to deal with in either Moldorm fight, but especially Moldorm 2. When he goes going really fast on that platform, it's really easy to get knocked off.
Yeah. Patty holding and hugging the wall to contain his excitement over the mirror. Making his way through Mire, he will get his lantern very soon too.
That was a very slick Ega too. Kenny has been doing his geometry homework for sure.
Yeah, simple geometry. Typically, you expect 3 cycles on Aga 2. The first shot Aga does is very similar to Aga 1, where it'll always be an orb. But after that, it's a 50-50. It'll be a blue ball. I believe it goes guaranteed orb, 50-50 blue ball, 50-50 blue ball, guaranteed orb, and repeating. So typically, 2 cycles is the best you can do, but it's not always possible. So you tend to anticipate 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables going in to trying to get a 2-cycle. Because not only do you need that second shot to actually be an energy ball, but you also need them to be lined up and timed in such a way that you're able to land all 3 both times.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kenny starting this Ganon fight pretty much right on the 124 mark exactly, making very, very good time of the seed.
Yeah, it takes 12 hits in the first phase, 12 hits in the second. So with the temper, that is. So with the temper, you can actually get a 1 cycle on both, and actually get through those 2 very quickly. Phase 3, you need to hit him 4 times, and I think it's a 50-50 chance of again teleporting. So similar idea, kind of hoping for good RNG there. The RNG is synonymous between both runners. They will get the same RNG pattern initially if they only do this fight once. And the last phase with the silver arrow just depends on how the player sets up Ganon via a single, double, or triple hit. But OkayGuy finishing off Ganon, barring any disaster, will be in first place here. Indeed he is. He finishes in first place with a time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 20 seconds.
Yeah, GG to Kenny. It was an amazing run. Like, routed very well, executed very well. Anytime you get in the 120s, is just a very fast, lightning quick seed.
It's very good for him. And definitely played really well, showed off a lot of cool little things. Let's see if we can maybe get him in for an interview here.
Alright, Vitreous. Or Patty, going into the Vitreous fight here. Opting to use that hammer. Again, that does do tempered sword damage. Sitting at that low health, you can't really do like a damage boosting spin slash strategy or anything. Again, like to see him bust at the cane like Kenny did to get some safe damage, because this is a dangerous situation to be fighting Vitreous, and it's going to be slow going with that hammer.
Yeah, not just dangerous, but slow going too. What you can do is very similar to the optimal strategy. You can walk into the goop, and that will do 1 damage. The eyeballs do a lot more, but you can actually walk into the slime there, and then use that to get in and hammer a bunch of them all at the same time. But with his low health, it's not really an option here. But that would be ideal.
Yeah, and while Kenny definitely did win this race, I would definitely like to give Patty some props, and I think everyone in chat should as well, for fighting Vitreous like this, fighting Cold Stare with the hammer and Master Sword. Definitely showing that he's no slouch, showing off his he's been playing this game for quite a while.
Yeah, definitely. And even though a person might think, oh, okay, I can kill some eyeballs, that'll make it simpler. The fewer eyes that are on the screen, it'll actually speed up the lightning phase from the main Vitreous there. So even though you think, oh, okay, fewer eyeballs, less to worry about, the lightning starts to come a lot faster. So even that doesn't make it that much more comforting.
We got some Gold B leg strats, helping him out a little bit there. Yeah, you can see here as he's gotten down to 5 eyeballs, the lightning is definitely picking up.
Oh,
no! It was so close. Oh, I feel so bad.
New plan. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think at this point, having the flute and the bottle, it would serve him well with all the money he has to go and get some potions. But Patty being very tenacious. And
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
The what for?
When you have that means to, like, once you die, like, it's not like you're losing much time. Do you kind of go take that extra minute to go grab the safeties? I know there can be a reluctance on a lot of players' parts to try to avoid using safeties, but dying is obviously like the biggest hit that you can take to your race time. So anything you can do to minimize that is generally worth doing. I mean, obviously you have your really high level players like the Bens and the Christos and the Andys of the tournament that rarely ever need them, but never be afraid to use them if you think they'll help.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that the way you play changes too. If you have that safety, even if you never use it, just having it there is a big comfort. It'll play into your gameplay. You'll be a lot braver. But yeah, like you're saying, this dungeon is not very front-loaded in time. So if you're already at the entrance, it's not that much longer to go get a safety. And again, even if you don't use it, they'll always be there in your pocket and can be a huge boon just to your comfort when progressing through the rest of it.
Yeah, and then, but I get the feeling actually that Patty's out for vengeance. He's out for some blood or some eyeball goop. Yeah. I'm not really sure what Vitreous bleeds, but Patty's gonna make it happen.
It's kind of like a jelly liquid. But I mean, he already knows that TheOkayGuy finished, so it's not like he's like, oh, I need to really consider, like, you know, every little thing. He probably just wants to go and, you know, have a time killing Vitreous. And taking a hit there at the start isn't good. But in terms of health count, kind of shades of 2 minutes to go. Yeah, ideally in this case, the optimal strategy works the same with Master or Temper. Again, you'll hold your sword out and then you'll go into the goo to kind of get a 1 heart. You'll take 1 heart damage instead of like a 3 or 4, and it'll put you into a temporary invulnerable state, and you can use that to actually get sword spins off. I think you need 6 hearts minimum in order to do it with Master Sword, maybe 7, and with Temper I think you only need 4. But it can be a trickier strategy, and if you're not confident, it can go wrong very quickly. But Patty getting through all the eyeballs. This is really good for him. He'll have a very chill time just whacking Vitreous.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vitreous has a ton of HP, and Master Sword's not going to do a whole lot of damage.
Oh no!
Gosh darn it, I was just going to say, but as long as you...
It went right through. It was out of there. Oh my goodness. And hey, TheOkayGuy, thank you for joining us. Oh my goodness, just joined a very unfortunate moment.
Oh my god, the freaking eye, man.
Yeah, if you can hear
So
Patty's on
rude.
the sword and Vitreous just noped right over it. Which you don't see very often, but oh my goodness, it's terrible.
I can feel Patty seizing with rage. But yeah, GG, Kenny.
Yeah, good game.
Thank you guys. Yeah, that seed was pretty awesome. I came into it knowing that my opponent Patty is a monster, so I decided that I was just going to gamble like crazy on Overworld scouring, and it kind of paid off with that fire rod. That was the beginning of my victory right there. How did he do? How was the race up until I went into go mode?
So Patty had one unfortunate thing from the very beginning that might have kind of played into his mental game a little bit, but he actually forgot the back of escape for a long time. So he did not get the hook shot or cancel Mario for a little bit.
Oh no. I myself almost completely forgot about it because we usually get bombs on the way there, and Kane O'Brien wasn't having any of that. But on my way to King's Tomb with Titan's mitts and the boots, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it reminded me, so after King's Tomb, I ran back and That was pretty early on.
Yeah, you two actually went to King's Tomb at almost the same time, but instead of you went right into escape, and he went right to bunk rocks.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's really easy to do in this mode. Of
He
course.
unfortunately just slipped his mind for quite a long time. I don't know if he had the race channel open, but he did say, I don't know, it was probably about 30 minutes into the race in the race channel that he missed something stupid and he couldn't remember what.
Oh, I didn't see that until my dot done, as it were, and I scrolled down to the rest of the race speed racing TV menu.
Wow.
Early on in the seed, after leaving the escape, I was like, man, I need bombs and I don't want to farm money for them. So I just went straight to Link's house. I save and quit, and then going through Kakariko from the south way was really optimal. It was really nice finding the flute and the boots, and I think the bar. It was really cool that it worked out like that.
So your race is on speed gaming, wasn't it?
Yes.
One other thing that I absolutely
They're
loved about
doing
this seed
something
was
weird with those
Argus
commentators
holding
'cause
a
those
sword
channels
upgrade.
aren't here,
That
so
made things a
you
lot
might wanna
easier.
ping, Giselle or I forget who the other commentator with her was. They should be able to help get you into it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh man. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the race. That was
Yeah, that
a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just trying to get an invite over to Patty because unfortunately he did decide to forfeit. Again, since the format of this tournament is Swiss, it's a loss either way. So
Yeah, and speaking of Patty, he joins us now here. Hello.
Hi.
hey man, welcome, dude. That was a bit rough. Unfortunately, what happened, but it was a good showing either way. I did enjoy your
Good hustle.
your revenge.
Good hustle there.
Woo! Good showing either way. Why you gotta be like that? That's just rude. That's just rude.
Trying to be nice.
Oh my
I heard
gosh.
about the back of escape misfortune.
I have no one to be mad at but this game. I mean myself. As soon as I realized that's what I missed and what was in it, I like mentally checked out. Just didn't play well.
Yeah.
It was gross and bad. I don't know. It was one of those things where I got the gloves and then the mitts and then a bunch of other stuff and just completely glanced over back of escape. And I'm so used to just as soon as I get gloves, I go to back of escape. And I did so much other stuff that I thought I did it. I thought I had done it. So then I just walked around and did a bunch of stuff and even tried to hammer Aghanim's little buzzy thing, and it didn't work, and I legitimately had thought I'd soft locked.
I almost forgot myself. I was telling these guys that the only reason I remembered was on my way to King's Tomb with Titan's Mitts. I saw the escape drop-in tomb, and I was like, oh yeah, I've completely forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I just glanced right past it. I went to King's Tomb, ran past it, went to King's Tomb, and then just carried on my merry way. It was great.
I had
good work though. 125 was it? That's ridiculous.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's with wasting a good amount of time doing just overworld
All right,
scouting
just rub
and
it in. Just rub it in.
Yeah. Wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it sucked.
I mean, I'm
Great.
surprised, Kenny, that you didn't get like a 110. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, no joke. Maybe if I wouldn't have wasted so much time in Skull Woods, those baby Moldorms just giving me trouble.
That was fun. They were goaltending you on your way to the big chest there.
I don't think any of the pendant dungeons were required to even enter to get anything. I think they could have all been skipped over.
Yeah, they
was,
were all a waste of time.
Really cool seed. I almost went into Misery Mire way earlier when I had Fighter Sword and significantly less health than Bluemel, I think. If I had, I would have found the mirror and a lamp way earlier, and that mirror would have led me on a huge waste of time adventure, checking overworld places that I had passed up. So I'm glad I did skip it and come back to it later. I don't know, it just worked out great. If Swamp wouldn't have had my bow, I would have done the big bomb immediately after and worked my way towards Pod and Eastern. But man, the bow location, just getting to go into go mode right there at the beginning of Swamp, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that definitely was good. Patty was in ice at that moment, so we're kind of, from a viewer perspective, it's exciting to kind of see which one would pay off, and of course, finding that bow. Yeah, it was good. Go mode.
Yeah,
I
'cause we-
couldn't do swamp. I didn't get the mirror until like just now.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I hate going into swamp. Really, it's just something that I don't ever do. I like go mode swamp. It's so fast and fantastic, but missing one item and 6 items in swamp, it was too big of a, it was too much of a gamble to pass that up.
Yeah,
Well-
I just knew I was so far behind. I think I literally wasted like 15 plus minutes looking for the back of escape.
yeah, when you
I got to Dark World and just started making really stupid decisions, hoping that something would happen, and it did not.
Can you confirm or deny that your Cactar's sprite expression may have been synonymous to your own?
That's
It is,
awesome.
it is now.
yeah, when you fluted away after checking the bonk rocks, like my heart just sank because I was like, oh, he's probably not gonna go back for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you were staring at the map, and you finally like moseyed on over there, and you paused
I
like
didn't
right
even-
outside the graveyard for like a full minute, and I was like, Patty, please just hit the start button and walk up, please, for the love of God.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm an idiot. It happens though. I very rarely make really stupid mistakes like that, but it always happens in tournament races. Like literally every time. It's dumb. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not talking while doing it and I'm like trying to concentrate and then I over concentrate, which makes no sense. I don't know.
Yeah,
It sucks.
the autopilot you get from like interacting with chat does help a lot. You just kind of do things naturally and don't overthink things. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, natural gameplay is very important.
All I have to say is once I farted in this cave so bad, all the jazz hands guys ran away hid in the sand.
That's a really solid quote from
It's beautiful.
Agana there.
Anyway, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and good game, Patty. That was brutal.
Congrats,
Absolutely
man.
brutal.
Yeah,
I feel like you
uh,
threw it for me. I feel like you threw it for me.
Yeah, that's what it was. I threw it. Yep, that's what happened. I'm totally
Yeah.
better. Just completely threw it for you. You're welcome, everyone.
Gentlemen,
Great.
teacher and a scholar.
GG, the okay guy.
Thank you.
You're
I'm excited
more than
for the next
okay.
one. I'm okay. I make the same exact mistakes though as skipping one thing. I almost headed up the mountain. If I would have found Quake, I would have went to the mountain to check the Hera basement and then head over to T-Rock to look for the bow. Because I needed a gamble like that. I knew I needed, gambles to secure some kind of a lead or some kind of a victory over you, Patty. So Overworld really helped out a lot. Just
Yeah.
that fire rod, man. Did you go out of your way to find that fire rod?
chest?
Yeah, purple
Yeah,
chest.
my chat is just like spamming purple chest killed me, and that was like the one thing I didn't check there. I think at that point I was just like, all right, I gotta get going and make really stupid choices, and that ended up being the stupidest choice of all. So
Yeah, it was pretty far out of the way without the mirror to do all that backtracking and stuff, but I didn't care. That was my gamble was Overworld.
yeah. What's
Um,
interesting is that I actually did save and quit Smithy, but decided not to do save and quit chest.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I was hoping you would, just because you knew you were behind, and I was like, oh, okay, like he's doing save and quit Smith kind of early. Like he's probably kind of playing like he's behind, hoping to find something. And then like you went straight back there and you did the hammer peg cave, and I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna do the purple chest, because at that time I think Kenny was in Thieves Town, just clearing that out and wasn't finding anything. And then you just went over into Thieves Town too, and I was like, Patty, just check the chest for everybody.
Yeah, never lucky.
Never lucky, yeah. Skillful, never lucky. I got really lucky. Thanks again, guys, for commentary and tracking and everything you guys do. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna just assume that you didn't trash talk me the whole time, so thank you.
I'm gonna ask you not to watch the VOD then.
All right, I'm gonna watch the VOD on the stream.
Just
It's gonna be great.
It's out of love.
All
I
right,
appreciate
guys.
you guys doing this for us, though, and maybe next time will be better, for me at least. Hope you have as good a time this time as this time. Okay, guy.
Thank you. Yeah, keep my average down a 125. That's insane. I'm still kind of out of breath.
Good stuff, man. I'll
Massive.
talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for letting
thank
us come
you.
today. Have a good one. Good luck to you in the next round.
There, guys. Good luck.
Bye.
It's been fun. Thank you so much.
You too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it for us. Is there anything you'd like to say, Storm?
No, just gonna remind everyone in chat there to give those two runners, two excellent and entertaining guys, a follow there. The OK Guy and Patty. There's their Twitch channels in the chat. And then I'd like to thank you for doing commentary with me. It
Yeah,
was a pleasure. It was a good it was a good time. I enjoyed myself at least.
I'm glad.
Um,
Yeah, it was a little jittery to start there, but we got to settle in a lot more. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I was very much looking forward to it, and thank you so much. And of course, again, thank you for our trackers, our streamers, for everyone who put all their effort and time into this, and thank you for the viewers. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's in it together, so it's a great time. Thank you all so much. And for my part, bye.
Yep, have a good one, everybody.